Peace, family. Peace, family. We just get started. Wait for one more person to pull up and we'll be, hold on 1 second, family. Peace, Morris. Peace, family. Hope everybody's feeling good today. You're going to have a good teaching today because we got a couple more people that we're training. Our circuit and weight training starting at 7 p.m. Arizona time. So let's get this teaching go started and we'll proceed. So before we even get into this teaching, let's do it our warning by the Prophet and Prophet Noble Ali. Then we get this teaching started. But a divine warning by the Prophet Noble Ali. Prophet warns all Muslims, governors ordered to read proclamation at each meeting. This is dated January 15th, 1929, and it reads, I hereby inform all members that they must end all radical agitating speeches while at work or in the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequences. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, justice, my 2 cents more, health and wealth, peace. And when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings toward the temple or the prophet, Moors, that's esoterically and exoterically Moors, or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds, Moors. I got you, brother. 1 second. All true Moors will and must obey the law that's laid down to us by our prophet. If we lose confidence in the prophet, we should turn in our card, our button, and cease wearing our turban and fez, and return to the state where we were found. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the Prophet Noble Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. That's esoterically and exoterically Moors. The prophet therefore is sending out a divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. To redeem his people from their sinful ways here in America. Let's read our card. Let's read our card. So we're more going around getting you confused of things. Nah, man, we don't do that. We law-abiding citizens. And if anybody's saying something different, that's on them. This is your nationality and identification card for the Moorish Science Temple of America and birthrights for the Moorish American, etc. We honor all the divine prophets, Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, and Confucius. May the blessings of the God, our Father, Allah, be upon you that carry this card. I do hereby declare that you are a Muslim under the divine laws of the Holy Quran of Mecca. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. I am a citizen of the USA. Noble Ali, the Prophet. 5933 West Madison, Chicago, Illinois, 60644. We honor and respect all the laws and the prophets. Man, we don't got time to be arguing and act like we outside of the law. Anybody that's acting outside of the law are aliens and not under the sheltering parameters of the law. Noble Ali didn't teach nobody to be criminals. And today, in the flesh, we have our Messiah in the flesh. We're supposed to take this science further. I be hearing brothers saying, oh, that ain't what Noble Ali taught. Man, we are in the flesh. You don't put so much energy in things that's gone to where you don't know how to take your people further and higher. We're supposed to be industrial. We're supposed to understand education and business and commerce and win on this earth plane. That's why I tell brothers and sisters, if you're not operating as a business and doing commerce, I don't think you know what this is all about. It's not for everybody. It's only a few. I can count on my hands. That's what I be telling more. It ain't nothing for everybody. It's the ones that's enlightened. We don't do nothing outside the parameters of the law, Moors. And if you know law and if you understand international law, you don't have to do nothing criminal. Because we're not criminals. It's a certain thing to do things. To take one's place in the world, one must of necessity be determined to act according to law. Only those that abide within the law-abiding citizens, can demand equal protection and application of lawful directive to the body, the people, and government, which are regulated by the law of the land, and to do which the law gives life. All others, criminals, aliens, undesirables, etc., exist outside the sheltering parameters of the law. Outlaws are classified and treated as enemies of the peace and retain their various rights under these constitutions. Moors, when somebody telling you to do something, I hope they telling you real law. I hope they telling you what null and void is. They got you running to court just with stuff that ain't even valid anymore. They'll read one paragraph of a case but won't read it all to you. That's how they get brothers in trouble, man. Because there's no excuse in the court of law not knowing the law, Moors. That's why the eyes of he who knows the secrets of every heart knows that the work in sincerity and guides such in all the ways of life. But the insecure, the workers of darkness, are continually misled, confused, deceived by the very mist of darkness that envelops them. The philosophy of the Moorish science is a productive confluence of the Comedian mysticism, Oriental philosophy, and esoteric ideologies, all of which is to be comprehended by what the Moors call the gnosis of the ought and the naught, or falsehood of truth. Learning to so employ the divine faculties of the higher self through the instruction in the ancient wisdom by diligently, consistent, over, everyday study, practical application. This is stuff that we use. And the suffering of prudence through a proper knowledge of law, once capable of clearly distinguishing between the worst and the best parts of our being. It is of the greatest benefit to subdue those baser instincts of the physical or lower self. The barren man is inclined to yield to the illuminating wisdom of the divine properties, Moors. That's why our prophet said he brought us everything it takes to save a nation. Now take it and save yourself. How you going to save a nation and you can't even save yourself? We save ourselves first. I save my family. I understand who I am, my empress, my children, my mother, my father. Then I understand who I was as a business. And I became industrial. And I do things internationally where I'm not worried about Negro, black, and colored brothers that say they Moors and they don't support the movement. We're international. We do business and commerce. Every true and divine prophet must contend with the initial rejection and harsh treatment. Their messages are almost always universally rejected at first, and never the message that the people desire to hear. Because brothers and sisters that say they Moors, they own this splint like they're gangs, like they're Crips and Bloods. I be laughing. I'm like, it's only one Moorish Science Temple of America. And I don't care, if once you nationalize, you should be able to go to any temple. And if a Moor say they deal with civics, well, you need to ask them what's the definition of civics. We're going to break it down. That's why the carnal men never want the light. They love the dark because their deeds are evil. I'm telling you, man. And in the view of things, we have to say, of all knowledge, self-knowledge is important, Moors. But God knowledge is vitally important. One without knowledge of self is like a tree, Moors, without roots. One without knowledge of the God within has yet to become a tree, Moors. Don't we know that? Well, we discover that even anger is good energy when it's harnessed and focused by the power of a concentrated thought, Moors. It's effective fuel. It motivates power and it's capable of energizing us. We got to understand, we got to put things in a proper perspective, Moors. We got to do things the right way, not the way we want. But I just wanted to touch on that, man, when Moors be arguing over talking about what the prophet taught and what this he didn't taught. I said, man, y'all arguing over some dumb stuff. What about today? What is arguing over that's going to help you win today? Because most arguing over dumb crap. All I see brothers doing is running the court trying to say they get something free, trying to not pay some bills. And I say, man, you got to know law first and how to do things lawfully. So before we even jump into the science, when Moors be saying they deal with civics, so let's see what civics all about. And then you ask a person, and then you ask that person, civics is social studies, the study of rights and duties of citizens. When Moors say they deal with civics, the study of the way in which a local government works and of the rights and duties of the people who live in the city. So when the Moors say, I deal with civics. Well, if you deal with civics and you don't understand international law and you don't understand everything that has to do with civics, you only arbitrarily explaining. You only arbitrarily explaining. And you must color all aspects. You must color all aspects. A trustee on the law of identification. You must cover all aspects, not just your way for you can try to convince somebody to believe what you're saying is valid. When brothers be making up stuff, we talk about the real consular courts and what's this about and who have authority over things, not made up. Precedented cases. Stuff that when I go to court and things in my court case, because I'm getting my doctoral in Indigenous people law and policy, real stuff. But more just arguing with each other. And that ain't what this science is about. That ain't what this science is about. I'm going to tell you another case, and I want you to look this up. The case Hale versus Hinkle. When the Moor, and I'm not talking about anybody, but when the person only give you, that's right, Noble, that's right. The most thing is proclaiming your nationality, and it's a way to do it the right way, lawfully. I tell people there's nothing illegal about Moor science. Man, you can look up in Philadelphia, but this is real. It's a way to do things the right way. The President Obama said in 2010, you have a right of a nationality, but also what's precedent is a right to change it. Now, you must do things the right way. It's a body politic. The Moor Science Temple of America is real. The Moor Science Temple of America is real. Look up that Hale and Hinkle. And if you confused of what that's all about, when a person try to read one paragraph and don't tell you the whole thing about the case, they just trying to program you. But the argument was that the grand jury cannot require persons representing corporations to testify or demand them to produce documents unless the charges that are being investigated are first explained. It's first explained. And in that decision, in a majority option written by Justice Henry Brown, the court rejected Hale's argument by maintaining that a grand jury can examine witnesses and demand documentary evidence in connection with a probe into possible crimes, even if it did not identify the scope of the investigation. So we got to understand certain things and keep things in the proper context, man. Anytime you do business or anytime you do things, it's a, let me see, once you proclaim your nationality, everything else falls. Exactly, but the thing is studying who you are. See, these Moors, they get things out of, they read one law case or anything, and they run the court, and I say, they're not showing you the outcome. The outcome. I'm there, I'm in the course. I operate on love, truth, peace, freedom, justice, health, and wealth. Anytime a case comes, I'm looking at the case and I'm seeing these babes, I'm going and I'm seeing what's happening. And they all get in trouble because they what's happening, they go on the court under fraudulent concealment. What's fraudulent concealment? Is somebody telling you something and you would have not with that bullcrap if you would have known all the facts of what you're trying to say is not valid. So your own Moor, your own brother will get you caught up in fraudulent concealment. And when you go to court, you're in trouble. I'm telling you, because they're not showing you full color of the law. They read one sentence. One sentence. More is a bill of lading. Everybody get a bill of lading. You go to the grocery store, a bill of lading. Anything is a bill of lading. So if anybody telling you anything different, that's not real. It's a document issued by a carrier or their agent to acknowledge receipt of cargo or shipment. Come on, man. If y'all don't know that, hey, it is what it is. It is what it is, Moors. I hope you know that. I hope you know that. We getting connotated, man, with false, with not whole truths. Somebody holding things back because some of our brothers have taken an oath. If you're nationalized through the Moor Science Temple the way I am, man, you should be able to go to any temple. What should we be studying? I'm gonna tell you, man. One, you should have the Circle 7 Quran. You should have the Mysteries of the Silent Brotherhood of the East. You should have the 101s and the 101 and the 102s. You should have the Adapt language, the Mystic of the. You should have the Adapt manuals. You should have the Divine Constitution and bylaws. You should have all that. You should have my brothers. More should understand the more salawat, how we pray. More should understand the more the Prophet taught the highest degrees. More should understand what's on our identification cards, what's on the back of them, what all that mean, what our 1010 909 number mean, what's all that stuff on the back of our 3 identification cards. Understanding the importance of the status of jurisdiction. Understanding white by law is the status, is a status. And so you got to get out of your feelings and get into international law. Our Mathios, our kayak, Tahuti, of our workman tools, the committed at that name, and the use of our carpenter tools. The same thing that's in our Circle 7 Quran. These tools remind me of the ones we have in the workshop of the mind, where things are made of thought and where we build up character. This is our committed at that manual. It's right in our Circle 7 Quran. What chapter, you may ask? Chapter, I think it's 5, verse 12 to 21. One day as he was bringing forth the tools for the workshop, he said, these tools remind me of the ones we handle in the workshop of the mind, where things are made of thought and where we build up character. Come on, more here. It talks about the Hebrew God is the deity of Allah. The same thing that I teach in the Silent Brotherhood of the East. You should know this. More should know this science. More should know all this science. More should understand about the Moorish Adapt Study Guide, the House of Ali, mysticism, the great Egyptian Adapt, prophet and angel. I mean, come on, man. We should have this. I gathered and compiled all the literature. So when Moors be saying, "Oh, no, but Drew Ali didn't teach this, that," them brothers are just not enlightened, and they're not illuminating. You say, well, CMB not put out of the temple during the time. And see, this is the thing. I can care less of if a brother was put out a temple. His brothers put out the stuff right now. It's some brothers put up right. It's some brother. A lot of temples are not set up right. So when a brother say a brother was put out of something, I can care less what a brother was put out of. I deal with the wisdom and the science. I don't get caught up in no personal feelings or no ego or somebody working in their lower self. I get caught up in the science. That's why you must study. That's why we obey and respect all the laws and the prophets. That's why if you go to a temple and they don't have the wisdom, they too stuck on ego and what somebody, oh, this person this person that. Look at their life. Look at the life. Then you got to understand what the prophet and CMB together, and within the same time period. You got to understand. You got to look at certain things. We got to look at egos and why people did certain things. People get put out of their own homes today. Brothers and sisters kill each other. My brother was killed by a Negro. My best friend was killed by his brother. So things happen for whatever reasons. But the reason is I'm not here to justify, and I'm not here to argue things that don't matter. What matters to me is uplifting fallen humanity. What matters to me is understanding my nationality. Understanding I'm a business and doing commerce. What matters to me is being industrial. What matters to me is winning. What matters to me is teaching my children, everybody that's around me, these single mothers, who they are. And we win academically, business-wise. And we create a nation in a nation, man. That's what I'm about. So all this old stuff arguing about, I can care less what a person said or what a person did. We wasn't back then. I'm talking about today in the flesh. And today in the flesh, when I use everything, I take everything and I put it together and I use it. Real law, real history, real civics, real degrees. I have real degrees in the world, in temples, and adapt. I don't have any fake degrees. I'm not under no sacred, no oath. I study all law. I study all science. I'm nationalized through a Moorish Science Temple, and that's where it stops for me. I'm nationalized through the Moorish Science Temple. That's where it stops for me. I'm a free thinker. I'm a theosophist. I'm an alchemist. I'm a 99th adapt. I'm part of the Philosophical Society. I'm part of different groups where I get literature and history. I study from a scholarly perspective. Morris, if you're not introduced to the Library of Congress, then you're missing a lot. I go to the Library of Congress once a year. I go to the Philosophical Society in California once a month and lecture. It's literature that most Negro, Black, and colors, and a lot of Moors, they don't have because they're not initiated and they're not illuminated. I'm telling you facts, man. And if we're going to get into what a person said in this and I think and I thought, I don't care about what a person think or thought. I care about what happens on this earth plane and what's happening with me and mine. So we got to understand what the Reconstruction era was. We got to understand what the Reconstruction era was. What the Reconstruction era was. Yes, the prophet is a foundation. When a foundation is built and that person dies or whatever happened, does the foundation stay unfinished, or do we take that foundation and live in it and continue to build? Because a lot of things that brothers talking about, they take it out of context. I'm telling you. A lot of brothers, they won't finish it all. They'll show you a part when they go into court, but tell them to finish it. Tell them to show you the ending. Tell them to show you everything from the beginning to the middle to the end. Not skipping around. So we got to deal with what we got to deal with. And I say, I'm here for the ones that's here, that follow me, the ones that's not. I'm not here to convince anybody of nothing. I'm not here to convince anybody to do nothing. What I'm here to do is challenge you to study and figure out everything. Figure out, don't listen to somebody because they talk eloquently with a silver tongue, or they have a fez on, and they telling you this and that and the other, and they holding things over like it's some secret. Ain't nothing secret. How can something be secret and then you trying to help your people? It's nothing secret. What you must do is put it all out there, like a scientist, and gather everything and take what's good to win, and the rest you don't do nothing with it. But you got to understand what the Reconstruction era was in real history, what that was all about. You know, what was amended, when it was amended, and then a lot of laws, treaties was ended, and then they tried to bring back slavery. You got Negro, Black, and colors talking about some old laws going to court. Man, I don't care about no old laws that the U.S. done abolished. They just changed the law. You got to understand how to navigate. I'm telling you, man, and defend the right way, because it's a way. It's a way to do it lawfully. I promise you that. Shoot. So let's deal with this science, man, and we done. Let me see if I got it for you. I might not even have it. Let's see. Yeah, I do. We're gonna deal with a couple things and we out. I mean, one, this is my thing, and I don't like to talk about nobody or nothing, but one of my brothers was asking me, he was like, who wrote The Clock of Destiny? And I was like, C.M. Bay. He was like, did Taj Tariq Bey author The Cloak of Destiny? And I'm like, brother, I don't know any other platforms, but he was showing me something. I said, if Taj Tariq Bey wrote A Clock of Destiny, he plagiarized it, or he rewritten The Clock of Destiny that was already written. And if you rewrite something from an author with the information, you must give credit to the author, or it's plagiarism. Like when I gather and compile information, I divinely prepare any information, you give credit to that original thought. Like when I got my master's in ancient history and first history religion, anytime you write, you have to come from peer-reviewed scholarly research, and if it's any history that you use that's already written, you must give credit to that source. So the Clock of Destiny, man, like I said, I'm part of different groups. I got Clock of Destiny 2 and Clock of Destiny 1 from the Library of Congress. It's just what it is. I mean, you probably could pull them up. You should be able to pull them up from somewhere. The additional certificate of registration of a claim to copyright, the AA222141 number. There's nothing secret with our science, man. How can it be a secret if it's written and recorded in the Library of Congress? We just got to make sure we understand what we're doing lawfully. Brother be saying, well, Noble Ali didn't teach this, didn't teach that. Well, if that's what you say, fine. But I'm telling you what I teach and what my students teach. We teach history, law, civics, everything. Zodiac law, constellation, civics, everything. We teach it all. Alchemy, linguistics, the study of words, etymon, we teach it all. Business, how to be a business. When my kids graduate out of high school, they have their own entity. They have their own tax exempt number where they can apply for things. They don't have to use their own ID, identification number. But knowledge of truth is mankind's highest attainment, Moors. And you shall know the truth, and the truth will make you free. All evidence points toward the fact that the truth been taught. There would have been no need for the great statement to be recorded in literature, Moors, and especially in the biblical scriptures. When I say you have to seek things, we don't destroy nothing. The keynote of wisdom, Moors, and in order that you might readily understand the contents of the clock of destiny and any wisdom, you have to first momentarily lay aside all that which you have been taught to believe, except mathematics. Except mathematics. When the Moors said, "Oh, no, Drew didn't teach this," man, if you don't understand what the Supreme Nine is, and we take that back, this is what this fez is all about. And if Noble Drew didn't teach Supreme Mathematics, well, that's on you. It's more than one person that taught this science, man. This science is universal. So if you gravitate to one, which you should never gravitate to one thing, and you miss the essence of everything else, that's on you. You got to diss everything except mathematics. And as a result, you will be guided by common reason rather than by traditional emotion and belief, which most Moors operate on. Tradition and belief. I don't care what you believe in, because your belief is based on a balai. I am aware of the fact that both Muslim and Christian Moors teachers have a monopoly on mystic religious superstition, but not on mathematics. But not on mathematics. But not on mathematics. I'm telling you. The science of geometry evolving the 12 signs of the Zodiac, the universal law. If you don't know that, that's what it is. And if Moore said they should only study the prophet, that's what you do. You study that. If that's what you do, that's why I tell my brothers, study that. But like I tell my brothers, I'm not here to tell nobody what to do. I'm telling you, I'm a Moor nationalized through the Moor Science Temple of America, and that's where it stops for me. Period. I have my own school, the Burning Bush Tabernacle Science Temple and School, and we teach metaphysics, health, and wealth. We teach. I can care less about what some old about the what Noble Drew Ali taught. That's great. I take all that, all the stuff that the prophet taught, I took all that and put it in my gumbo. And when the brother say all that stuff don't matter, you don't know who you are. You don't know what's in your brain. The first thing when I say, well, how can you save yourself if you don't even know how you operate? You don't even know the Zodiac is in your brain. You don't even know the sauce. When I speak wisdom, man, look, Morris, I'm going to show you something. If you don't know what this is all about, if you don't know the 12 disciples, all that got to do with your brain, if you don't know, if Morris say that, well, you got to read your Circle 7 Quran. Because in chapter 5, I just gave you one of the mysteries. I just gave you one of the secrets in chapter 5 when it talk about our workman tools. So you got to understand what our workman tools are. These tools remind me of the ones we handle in the workshop of the mind, where things are made of thought and where we build up character. How you going to do that? You don't even know how to work your workman tools. How you going to work your workman tools if you don't understand about what's up in here? And you don't understand about every constellation have 3 deacons, and about your hippocampus. And everything that has to do with here has what's above has to do with below. If you don't know that, that's messed up. That's messed up. Like I tell Morris, you do what you're supposed to do, and whoever name you want to, we're going to keep the energy right. But if that's what Moors do, that's what they do. But see how they living. And we go from there. And we go from there, Moors. But you got to understand that. You got to understand astrology and astronomy. You got to understand that. You got to understand that. That's right. The 101 and the Circle 7 Quran is the foundation. That is right. When you build a foundation, that's what I tell more. When you build a foundation, it's a lot of things that go in that foundation. You have bricks, you have clay, you have your chisel, you have your plummet. To build all that, study yourself. Study yourself. And if you don't get that, it ain't nothing I can do. All this has to do with study yourself. You got to understand the analogy, the parable, the symbology. If we don't understand that, some of us not just on the higher levels. Some of us are still Some of us may be still under, some just may be under 360. You may just have 360 wisdom, which is fine. That's just material wisdom. Some haven't made it to the circle in the circle with the 720, where the material and the spiritual come together. That's all. That's all. And when Morris said he didn't say me, Morris, man, y'all got to study farther. I challenge you to study farther. When you study the mystic shrine, when I show you pictures, study farther. Please. Morris, all we got to do is study farther. Study farther. Study farther. Look, Morris. Let me study farther. Study farther, Morris. That's all I challenge you to do. Study farther. Study farther. Now, they say this Master Fire Muhammad, but speculation, whatever. Listen to this, man. There are many Masons shown in this picture. The development of the MSTA saw the influence of high-degree black Shriners, Masons, and secret societies, particularly the ancient Egyptian Arabic orders of nobles of the mystic shrine, started by Noble Ali Rofel Pasha, Noble Ali Rofel, R-O-F-E-L-T, Pasha, and John George Jones in 1893. These secret societies played a major role in the events during the late 20s and 30s in governmental changes in America that have great importance to the events happening presently in the world, to the subject of reparations and the New Age world order. Moore's literature pamphlet, The Industrious Acts of the Moslem, page 17, by Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Interviews with Anderson L. of Baltimore, done by Carl Evans, and cited in The Messenger. Again, according to many researchers, the account of this man was blah, 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 blah. But let me show you the picture. Let me show you the picture. Let me show you the picture. So we just talking stuff. I don't just talk. I don't just talk. So we just talking stuff. So when a brother talk about they don't know their astrological signs, that's messed up. Your astrological signs, you don't know why your kids acting out. You don't know why you act the way. You don't know why your wife act a certain way. That's messed up. So when a brother talking, tell him to show. We let somebody connotate us, and that's the problem. Connotation is not wisdom. That's dogma. Hey, if you don't know your astrological chart, more, like I said, if you don't know your astrological chart and what's working inside of you, I ain't here to debate nothing. That ain't what I do, man. I don't debate. All I tell, I'll just teach, and I leave it with there. If you want to research, you want to study something else, that's on you. That's on you, man. That's what we do. But it's a difference between astrology and astronomy. Astrology treats human characteristics, talent, action, and reaction. Sociology, economics, and global geography, or space and time. Astronomy is the priest, the pope, the bishop, the rabbi, the preacher, the duke, the duchess, the queens, the kings, the Anglo-Saxons. The Anglo-Saxons, Lord's code of the Christian world, of whom propagates the myth culture of the heaven and the sky. That European Christianity, that Albion Christianity, that Al-Islam, something outside yourself, that pie in the sky, and hell below, after death. We know in the biblical scriptures, Gehenna is a place where they burn stuff. We know the place of the bones, Golgotha, is an allegory talking about your brain. Talking about your brain, you know. We got all the charts, man. It's here. We got all the charts, man. I have astrology. That's what I'm saying. I don't come from no biased place. I come from scholarship, man. And if a person don't like it, that's fine. You know? But hey, it is what it is. We got to understand that the human body and the mind and the earth contain all elements of nature. We are what we eat, drink, inhale, and exhale. Therefore, all energy generates from our stomach, mind, and earth. We, the human family, are the only supreme moving planets on heavenly bodies, Moors. That's why if you understand our code of facts, our code of perfection, and the guidance of practical wisdom, compromise of what, Moors? Compromise of what? Compromise of what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. I have my own temple here in Arizona. It was Temple 9, District 7. It's not a temple anymore. It's not a temple anymore. Yep, the prophet was a Capricorn. I'm a Capricorn as well. But a lot of brothers, the temple I had out here in Arizona, most of the Moors didn't even have a Circle 7 Quran. So when I was teaching from the Quran, when I was going over the bylaws, like you go over every meeting in the one-on-ones, they was like, what is that? They was like, you speaking Chinese. I said, no, man, this coming out the Circle 7 Quran. They say, oh, it's written in code. And I said, well, if it's written in code, then you should break down the code for the people can know the code. So the brothers didn't have it. They weren't studying out of it. They coming up talking about plasma TVs made out of blood. Just spookism, like we some gang. We ain't no gang. We're noble men. I don't do nothing illegal. And if any more is doing stuff illegal for me, I cut it out. I call it what it is. And I shut it down. Yep, I'm an AZ. If anybody don't believe this, astrology is the code of the Moorish nation. Our forefathers of this hemisphere who founded the Universal Order of Islam 1,370 years ago and re-educated the confused human family, thereby establishing the greatest civilization that the world has ever known, the civilization in which we now live. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. Don't we understand that? 3, 6, 9, 12, 60 seconds of the minute, 6 of the hour, and also the letters of the Arabic alphabet, all of which comprise the culture of the Moors. We talk about what is Moorish Latin, a mixture of all the languages, if you don't know that. But our forefathers of the Muslim world, who are often referred to in the Christian literature as Mohammedans or heathens. Come on, man, we gotta understand, we gotta know the code of the Roman cross, the Roman numeral letters, the Roman numeral 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, on and on. And the Latin or the Spanish language. Compromise what? What it compromise? That's right. That's right. That's why when I teach this fez, when they say that the woman can't wear the fez, and I say, man, that's daughters of American Revolution. That white fez gold, Moors. This white fez and this gold tassel was all about our Moabitist women. And if any more don't know that, hey, it is what it is, man. I promise you. But all that compromised the Christian code of which was born out of our Moorish forefathers' code in South America, Patagonia. Write this down. Write this down. Why should we need Moors? We don't need European masonry. That's why, man, listen, Moors. That's why I be laughing. I'm like, I'm gonna read something else for you. Listen to me, man. There is no longer any. Before I just go there, I'm going to ask these additional questions on the prophet, Moors and Masonry and Muslim, and the Asiatic accounts. Listen to this, Moors, because we just getting stuff and we ain't researching ourselves. What was the Holy Prophet Noble Drew Ali's mission? To save as many Asiatic as possible during the period of grace. When did grace period start? 1913 CE. When did it end? 2001 CE. How did our prophet travel? Answer. Let me tell you the answer. By compass and square. How did our prophet travel? By compass and square. How did our prophet travel? By compass and square. I'm going to explain this. He used the compass to keep all this. I just went over to chapter 5 in our Circle 7 Quran. Our workman's tools. He used the compass to keep all his carnal desires under control. Picked up the square to straighten out all the crooked places of fallen humanity. To make the corners of our conduct square. That's what masonry is. It's about conducting yourself. How did our holy prophet once travel? Through the Masonic order until he became a noble. Then he entered Islam. Who represent Islam in the West? Since 1912 CE, Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Did our holy prophet Drew Ali enter the shrine? What can I tell you? What can I tell you? Yes, he did enter Islam that way. Does this mean Moorish Americans should seek to become Masons and Shriners? The answer is no. The answer is no. I tell you, European masonry, Prince Hall masonry, Prince means you have a king. Hall means some cover. Brother, once you become 33 and 33 degrees, once you cross over that European masonry, you become a shrine. That's when you put the fez on your head. That's when you become a son of a Muslim. That's why they wear the fez in clandestine. That's why they got the knife on it, because they took an oath. The star and the moon is a symbol. But now we don't have the Asiatic woman with a knife over it. You see what I'm saying? So no. Does it mean Moorish Americans should seek to become Masons and Shriners? No. I ain't never said nothing about no European Mason. I said I'm a 99th degree Memphis and Mizraim. That's science. That's science. Hey, man, you got to read into it, man. You got to read the language, Moors. Read the language. Read the language. Break the language down. Break the Eddie Man down. And if we're not willing to do that, that's all good. But I'm not here to argue with our brothers. I just tell you, I know what I'm doing. I challenge you to do what you do, and we just let the chips fall where they may be. But there is no longer any need for this because the prophet gave you 32 and 33 degrees in your divine instruction too. So in your divine instruction too, if more saying we don't understand masonry, and then I break it ancient, I say Angelo Solomon is. Research Angelo Solomon. Research Angelo Solomon. Yeah, we respect our American flag. That's why the American flag, Moors. That's why our American flag and the corporation flag and the Moroccan flag is together. We build. We build. We don't argue. This ain't no Senator TV or that where them brothers just talking stuff. But then you look at their life, they don't have brothers. They don't go into high schools and teach kids. They don't take kids to the games. I take 50 kids to Phoenix Suns games, Arizona Cardinals games. I take kids to the zoo. I have a real school. It ain't about arguing. My kids are all A students with businesses. But there is no longer any need for this because the prophet gave you 32 and 33 degrees in your divine instruction number 2. When he placed the tarba and the mithra, which is the turban, on your capta, which is your crown, and gave you the science. Who among is the highest of Rome to enter al-Islam by practice? Answer, Masons. At what degree? 32 degrees. In meteorology, that's a level above freezing. That's when water freezes. That's when water freezes, Moors. Y'all tripping. What is the secret password to the Albion, a European, and Prince Hall? Assalamu alaikum. I hope y'all know that. What occurs then? A nation bows to its knees to Islam, proclaims that Allah is God, becoming a practicing Muslim. Point blank, man. Why is Shriner considered the joke of masonry? When you look at the Moorish dance and all that stuff, is because they left Christianity to practice a religion other than their foremothers' religion, while still living in the Christian country. What exactly is Islam religion that Masons proclaim and practice? The names, issues, and principles of Arabian mixed with a select version of the faith of the Qurayshite Moor, the Muhammad. Is this Arabian al-Islam our religion? No. Not no, the American Islam. It ain't al-Islam. Y'all know this, man. Y'all know this. And if I'm saying something wrong, I ain't talking. This okay. Moorish America is not al-Islam. And it's not no European Christianity. Our religion is Islamism. When I talk about Sufism, when I talk about Zoroastrianism, man, we talk about ancient stuff. Islamism is the religion of our foremothers and forefathers. That's why in the biblical scriptures, when you read in Deuteronomy, it says that an Amorite, a Canaanite, can't enter the kingdom of God. You got to understand why. We talk about from a historical perspective. And when you get into, it means some more than that too. Mason means more than, Mason is, remember, words have duality. I'm going to break it down. Mason means more than my son. I promise you. Mason means more than my son. And that's when a person has a little wisdom, but they should take it further to give you both sides. But Mason, that's one explanation, but it also has another meaning. We're going to break it down. So, what exactly, I told you that, blah, blah. Answer. Can you be more specific by explaining how it differs from al-Islam? This is one of the questions. Islamism is the universal law in harmony with self, in peace, the science and study of self-mastery, that Allah and man are one. Al-Islam being the Arabic for peace, which was perfected by Muhammad into Kurdish and Arabic, and has since, unlike Islamism, the Prophet Noble Drew Ali brought Moorish Americans, been viewed by the world much like catechism, in the premise of is to serve a God which exists outside of man himself. Man, when that Muhammad walked the earth, he was married to Khadijah. Her cousin was Regor, a high Roman priestess. During that time period, it was the Byzantine Empire. Research it. But this is my thing when I ask my brothers and sisters. We be so critical, and we all went to a public schools and nothing, but did we challenge the school systems? No, we backed down. See, I challenged it. I got 2 degrees from Grand Canyon University in ancient history and religious history. And I challenged it. I'm like, I challenged it, and I graduated with honors. You know? You see what I'm saying? So a lot of brothers that might have claimed their nationality doing that, it don't matter if they're not operating right. What is another term for al-Islam? Islamism is the old-time religion of the ancient Egyptian mysteries. Yes, it is. Secure, which means know thyself. Can a Moorish American Can a Moorish American or can a Moorish American be a Mason also? No. Not a true and faithful Moorish American. I just told you, why there's no reason to get it. Why there's no reason to join European Masonry. It's no longer need for this because our prophet gave you 32 and 33 degrees in your divine instruction number 2. And if you don't get that in the teaching, I'm sorry. I give it, but I get the 99. I'm 99. I'm 99. In a biblical, I'm 99. Memphis and Mizraim, 33 times 3. I expound on it further. I'm gonna take us to the history of the Moors and the Moorish dance. What is the Moorish dance? A dance borrowed from the Moors, or more accurately, and it's called an imitation of the dance. And who adopted the dance? Many groups of people throughout Europe, extending to the so-called Middle East, India, parts of Central and South Africa. Many groups of people throughout Europe, expanding the so-called Middle East. I gave you that. Do any of these groups understand the science of the Moorish dance in its pure form? Some do, in India and parts of America. What about Europe? On a whole, no Moors. However, even for those that do, they are not bioorganically equipped to properly execute the dance. So what do I mean when I say that? They are lacking many of the necessary trace elements, minerals, and ores. You understand? The secretions. I can go on, but I don't want to stick with that when brothers be saying things. So what form of Islam do Moorish Americans adhere to? Sufi. What is Sufi teachings? Islamism, that man and Allah are one. How is this proven? By the Holy Quran. What surah and verse? Surah 2, verse 31 and 34. Who built the holy city of Mecca? Moabites. Who is the true holy city of Mecca? Where is the true holy city of Mecca? On the land of the ancient Moors, Moabites, and Canaanites. On what landmass is the holy city of Mecca? North America, 42nd parallel. Mecca is where your prophet is, Moors. And if Moors say they Moors, you should know this. How do we know this to be true? Answer to question 115. Also reread the Holy Quran, Circle 7. When Moors say they read they Circle 7. If you study your Circle 7, everything I'm saying is in there. It's in the map. It's in there. That's why I'll be laughing when Moors say our Quran, where everything I'm saying is in there. What's some of the names? Phoenicium. Poenicium. Just like in the biblical scriptures. They got Abyssinia. Abyssinia is Ethiopia. But we don't know that. Some of us do. What does Phoenicium mean? Answer. Carthaginian, Phoenician. What period was this? Between 800 and 146 BC. Where? Answer. The ancient Moorish kingdom of Carthage. What is the modern name of this kingdom? Tunis. Tunis, Moors. What documentary evidence can we offer to show the Carthaginian or the Canaanite American Mecca connection? By deed, Moors. By deed. By deed. I'm reading the same thing that Moors say they should have. That they say that the prophet didn't teach. That's what I'm teaching. The brother that say they sheiks, they should have. The deed of the ancient Canaanite. Carthaginian Sufo Hanno. Carthaginian Suffetehano Bey. Third generation of the Empress Elisa Bey, daughter of King Mutan the First, and great grandfather of the Gaetulan. Gaetulian. Arian general, Hannibal or Hannibal. Bay is an ancient document by express proclamation inscribed on the born stone found at Kamasukanet, Cape Cod Bay, New England, Massachusetts, documented in the Born Historical Society. What does the deed proclamation describe in terms of metes and bounds? The possession and annexation of the Americans to the Iberian Peninsula, Carthage, Tunis, Marquisia, Numidia, Utica, etc., being those same possessions of Northeast and Southwest Africa, including North, Central, and South America, Mexico, and the Atlantic Islands. Where else is this document? And is there any certified tangible evidence, legal documents of our title to the American land? The answer is yes. The Moorish American Society of Comprehensive Science, National Legislation, Department of State Bureau of Administration, and the Library of Congress. Yes, Moors, when I talk about the Library of Congress. I have all stuff in the Library of Congress. Even about our emperors of the Washington Moors. I have the maps when everything was here. Egypt, Israel, all that stuff was right here. When you talk about the ground plans of Louisiana Purchase, I got all the maps. How is it documented? Evidence by proclamation and sovereign trust of Moorish Americans, ETT. So written in the pages of the consecrated talisman, recorded as a legal document in the Library of Congress at certified registration number T, capital TXU -123-633 and control catalog number 71-330-6977 in parentheses U-2 Moors. The Department of Homeland Security, U.S. Customs and Border Protections at recordation number CO capital COP 04000062, control number 476030 and 3. The Department of State Bureau and Administrations at BP 232 U73, the Great Geodatic Survey, Book of Blood and Deeds. I'm telling you, Moors, I'm giving you the wisdom. I'm telling you. It was written before in English. We can go on and on. We can go on and on with the wisdom, man. I can go on and on with this. I can go on and on with this. That's why I tell more before you, when brothers be so caught up, I want to proclaim my nationality. That's great. But you got to research. You got to do all the work. Listen to somebody telling you to file a sentence there. That ain't going to do you no good. When I talk about what notary is, Morris, look at what a notary is. Look at what a notary is. A notary, when people file stuff, if they're not a notary, that ain't nothing. So we must take, just like we're going on dates, just like we're trying to find houses, you must take the same due diligence with becoming nationalized. When becoming nationalized, because it ain't just getting no ID cards. It's getting your amnesty of oath. It's getting your adoption papers. It's getting your dispensation papers. It's getting all that. I'm telling you, man. It's getting your baptismal papers, and it's doing it the right way. I'm telling you, man. If y'all don't know that what a notary is, I'm telling you, you got to know this. You got to know this. And if any more say anything different, I ain't with that. I ain't with that, man. So we talk about Rome and Canaan, stuff that's in the Library of Congress. The term Rome implies the people who conquered by intrigue, force, and violence and enslaved the human mind through false doctrine of religion, mystery, and image, or idol worship of various mystical God phrases. Most common, which are Jehovah, God, Christ, Buddha. Y'all know what I'm saying. You got to remember that these United States of North America comprise every so-called race of the lily white family. We're just talking about science, man. When we talk about Canaan, it applies to people who control the board of real estate, commerce, production, distribution of the order of the Roman colonization. Y'all didn't talk about some black and white. He don't have to. He don't have to, more. We're talking about how you win on earth. We ain't talking about, that's what I'm saying. We're talking about in the flesh. In the flesh. In the flesh. We ain't talking about what our prophet said. That's great. We're talking about we are in the flesh. We have homes. We have things. We have to win in the flesh. So just like if you were studying law, Noble Ali didn't talk about law and the right precedent in cases of law, so you know how to defend yourself, for things wouldn't be taken. For things wouldn't be taken. We have to get that. So if you're following some dogma, that's fine. That's not, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to those that want to understand history, that are scholars that study all law. That study all law. I'm not talking about no religious dogma. I'm not talking about no religious dogma. So if that's for you, Morris, there's no reason to sit here and debate with me. This is not for you, and that's okay. But I'm talking about for the ones that's operating on this earth plane, that understand that they are commerce. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not stuck in a zone to where I'm praising somebody so much I don't know how to operate on this earth plane. You know, I don't know. That's the problem. So you must operate on this earth plane and show your children how to operate. And when you're going, our children operate and understand who they are as commerce, and they don't have to beg for things. They know how the system is set up. You got to understand the Roman conquerors added 580 years to the Moorish calendar. That's why we got to study deeper. And 1795 Christian calendar year is equivalent to 1,215 Moorish calendar year. 1865 Christian calendar year is equivalent to the 1285 Moorish calendar year of 1946. I hope we know that. But we're only going to stay in one thing. We're not going to study. I'm a study and I'm a free thinker. I'm not under any oath. So that's where it stops for me. Don't nobody tell me, don't nobody rule me. Have you ever stopped to think that among the Asiatics of the USA, referred to as Negroes, they can never and they can never be similar to every so-called race of the entire world? Don't we know that the land of the Moors, the crest of Asia, Peru, Mexico, Isabella, Cuba, USA, Canada, Alaska, all of which comprise the land of the cultured Moors? I ain't talking about no religious dogma. I'm talking about stuff that you can find in history. And if we're not going to study history, then I ain't for you. The crest of Asia symbolized the Great Pyramid, as shown on the reverse side of the United States dollar bill of the 1928. It's just what it is. If we're gonna do all the work, if we're gonna do all the work, study it, man. Study it. If you study it. Names such as Negro, black, colored, Indian, red, African, Jews, and whites are slave labels. The Roman cross order of segregation, hatred, slavery, and exploitation. You got to look at it with the Reconstruction period of 1853 and 1865 resulted in the United Order of the Christians. You got to understand certain things and put things in a right order and not getting your feelings in everything. But our history library of every state of the Union, and also the library of particularly every home of European Americans, referred to as Europeans or white people. That's why the history of the Moorish Empire is not news to them, for they have been guided by the history of the Moors under the potent influence of fear and hatred during the past 93 years, calculated from 1865. That's why when we talk about things, why you can't do certain things under certain Christian doctrines and things, you know? Islam, Empress. But how can one help himself, Moors? How can a brother, a Moor, help himself and others without exposing his secrets? How can one help himself and others without exposing his secrets? You must reveal the keys. You must reveal all the keys. You must reveal all the keys. Moors don't understand the secret relationships. And if we don't, some more are just stuck in one part of history. That's all. We're stuck in. That's why we know we're not Ethiopia, because Ethiopia was a demarcation line. That's why in ancient history it's Abyssinia. I can show you old monuments, old cars. I got old cars with all the pictures of Abyssinia, without telling you the names. How Europeans couldn't go in there and conquer them brothers because they was fierce fighters. I'm telling you, man. Thus, our subconscious mind is the inner world, referred to as the all-seeing eye. Our reasoning mind is the outer world, referred to as the light of the world. All of which derive from who? Our women. The creator of all sons in the course of the 9 months, for the conception to birth. Thus, the woman is the grand master architect and carpenter of the human body and mind, which makes all of us Muslims, regardless of the shade of the skin and color of the eyes. All male babies are sons of the 9 months from the conception to birth. And in Christian mythology, Moors, the number 9 have many names, most common of which are Nin, N-I-N in your biblical scripture, N-I-M in your biblical scripture, Nimrod in your biblical scripture, Nimrod, and Nun, which is catechism. Every child is born in a square and angle of 90 degrees, 9 months from the conception to the birth. The term Muslim implies the works of nature involving the human body from conception to birth, and in a right angle motion or square of 90 degrees. The great circle of the great comprise 360 degrees, squared by the number 9. 9 goes into 360 degrees 40 times, Moors. That's how you circle the square. The circle and the square have the same perimeter. I'm telling you. What Senator Bigelow of Mississippi had referred to over the Meet the Press program in 1946. The Klan implies the people who have agreed by oath or secret obligation to protect their society so as to prevent legal marriage or socialization with people or heavy olive hue of skin, referred to as dark brown. That's why if you don't understand the DAR and the Zodiac codes of that marriage, why you think more do certain things a certain way and marriage a certain way, the Zodiac codes. And if we don't know that about the DAR, who came up with the marriage license, truth cannot be altered, therefore it needs no apology. Huh? That's right, Mo. The clock of destiny 1 and 2 are just as important to me as my circle 7 Quran. That's right, Moore. And your silent brotherhood of the East. It all should be. It all should be. Because you should study and get the good out of it. And then if the rest, deal with it. Thus, the truth is the Sisterhood Christian Daughters of American Revolution, the DAR, established the marriage license, states, rights, codes to prevent Moorish men and women from marrying into their Magna Carta society of white supremacy. Did you ever think that the women and men are already married by the supreme law of nature, and that the marriage license is an act of violation of the law of nature? The law of union between women and men spelled love and the reproduction of a child, in which a marriage license plays no part in. I mean, we can go on and on and on. We can go on, but we're not. The secrets of the 9 involving women and child and the 12 signs of the Zodiac is referred to as the rejected stone in your biblical scripture. The rejected stone, when you read the stone that was rejected, is now the chief cornerstone. Thus, the stone that sociologists of the Christian world rejected in the days of old became the head cornerstone in the atomic age, which is follows: the first month of the year, April, the first month of the year, in harmony with the rising sun in the north hemisphere on the Tropic of Cancer, which occurs every year on March 21st and ushers in the spring season. Mathematics and the Zodiac, the Earth axis to its orbit, evolved about the sun at the rate of 1 degree per day and 30 degrees a month. It completes its annual revolution on 360 degrees, 20th, in the 12th sign of Pisces. The 12th sign of Pisces. Thus, the rays of the sun passes through the 12 different regions of the earth called signs in the course of a year, calculated from the sign Aries to the sign Pisces. That's why we tell our women to know thyself. And I'm going to give you some of the secret or what's sacred of the 9, knowledge of the 12 signs of the Zodiac involving our women. And I ain't talking about when nobody author. Who cares? If all the person have to do, if they don't want to listen, all they have to do is log off. That's all they have to do. We don't get caught up in arguments. I'm talking about science, man. I'm talking about things that you can do to operate. If you keep talking about somebody, the prophet and this, just log off. That's too simple to do. But conception always occurs while the rays of the sun is in a certain sign of the Zodiac. And the child is born 9 months later while the rays of the sun is in another sign of the Zodiac. That's why we've got to understand why our children are acted a certain way, why we act a certain way. And if conception occurs while the rays of the sun is in the sign Aries between March and April 19th, the child is born when the rays of the sun enters the Sagittarius between November 22nd and December 20th. Right? Right. That ain't what I said, more. Stop with the dumb stuff. All you got to do is log off, man. If you don't understand, that's too easy to do. That's simple. That's a simple thing to do. But next time we know just delete you from you coming on, and that'll be it. But that's what you have to do, Moors. We have to study everything, and get the best out of what we can get. Get the best out of what we can get and use it on this earth plane. And stop worrying. Examine a man's life. Examine a man's life. Examine a man's life. That's what you're supposed to do. The interpretation of the sun and the 12 signs of the Zodiac involving human characteristics and monthly activity. That's why you got to understand, when you understand how a person's acting, you don't get upset. You understand things. You understand the 30 degrees, the sun in Aries. You understand the 60 degrees, the sun in the Taurus. They give the kind-heartedness. The 30 degrees give good heart, give strength. The 90 degrees, the sun in Gemini, give the strong and flexible. It's so much that we can know, that we can get from understanding our astrological sign and understanding how we operate on this earth plane, Moors. We got to do it, man. What'd you say, Empress? Okay. But tomorrow I'm going to touch on a couple other subjects. We got training to go through right now. It's almost 6:30. People hitting me up. But we'll touch on a few topics tomorrow about the A lot of the astrological charts was changed and things was added to history and things. And you can research that stuff. You can go to the Library of Congress. You can go to your doctoral library and research a lot of the things for yourself and gather a library and be a scientist and get your test tubes and get your beakers and study and get in your laboratory. I love you all. Love, truth, peace, freedom, justice, health, and wealth.